Somewhere in the world, there's a restoration project that's so big you could get lost in it for days. And I decided to buy it. 66,000 square feet. Towers of scrap metal, oceans of trash, mountains of forgotten furniture, and enough history to fill a dozen museums. And then imagine someone like me with absolutely zero experience, barely any know-how, and as ambitious as this project seems, that's the guy that's trying to fix it. This is epic. And now 3 years have passed, and it's true that there is some progress that's visible, but I've barely scratched the surface. Now this is a buzzing time lapse, but living it wasn't fast, and the journey is really far from over. I paid what I thought was an amazing bargain of $20,000 for this place. That sounds like a bargain, right? Turns out, bargain doesn't cover hundreds of dumpsters, 3 times the purchase price and disposal fees, 500 to 600 window replacements, miles of electric wiring, or the Herculean effort that it takes to recycle, scrap, repurpose, and give away everything that we could. Somehow here we are. And if you've never stepped foot in a place like this, just picture a giant, chaotic playground of history that is neck deep with all the stuff that the world doesn't need anymore. And then dump 200 semi-loads of dust and dirt on top of all of that stuff. And if you're wondering why I'm even doing this, well, buckle up. You're about to find out. So for those of you who are new to the channel, here are a few facts at a glance. I actually live overseas in Poland, and I fly back and forth, believe it or not, to work on this building. I have a young son, and he's too young really to make the flight, so for the time being, I have to make that commute. YouTube earns me a very humble amount each month from the videos that I post, and it's basically enough to cover the flight, so I don't have this giant bank account that's funding the whole process. Bought the building for $20,000. The property taxes are about $1,200 per year. And I made another video about this time last year, which is the highest viewed video on the channel with over 1.5 million views. And if you're interested in a little context, if it's your first time with the channel, you can check that video out. I'll put the link in the description. This particular video is more about what has happened over the last 3 years. They say life teaches you lessons if you're paying attention. And well, this building has been a very insistent teacher. 3 years of getting lost, tripping over mountains of junk, and discovering just how little I actually know has boiled down to one truth. Life lessons distilled from chaos are never ending. But I've tried to condense them into like these 10 key lessons that hopefully build up into something bigger. Take notes or just, laugh at my mistakes, because that works too. That's how we roll around here. Number 1, scale always wins. I started this adventure completely alone. Just me. Blind optimism. And the most naive idea that I've ever had, that $20,000 could buy a building and somehow magically I could tame it. Spoiler alert, I was wrong. Very wrong. Fast forward 3 years, and at 3 times that $20,000 in dumpster fees alone, and basically what seems like a lifetime of backbreaking labor and worry and anxiety, I've learned something crucial, that scale always wins. No matter how much you think you've planned, measured, prepared, the building is just going to laugh at you. It's bigger than you are. You think your plans are larger than life, the building is bigger. So in a situation like this, you can't just pick projects and work on them. You have to put systems in place that will see you through it. It's all about setting the systems in place. Okay, number 2, recycling is heroic, but it's also futile. In the early days, the scale of this place is humbling. Once the initial shock wears off, after a certain point when hundreds of piles of junk start to feel exactly the same as thousands of piles of junk, that's when you think, I could do this, I'll just have to do it one pile at a time. So that's what I started doing recycling, scrapping, repurposing, and I was giving away anything that I could. And yet, somehow, the building just kept producing more mountains of stuff, as if it had this kind of sense of humor. Eventually, I realized something important. Stressing over every single item, trying to recycle everything, can actually paralyze you and put the bigger project at incredible risk. If you don't get your priorities straight, the entire building, all 66,000 square feet of it, all of the building and all of its contents can end up in a landfill anyway. And that puts things in perspective. Yes, that little piece of trim board could come in helpful and useful to somebody, but with 6 million other objects like that, if you don't keep your priorities straight, everything is going to the landfill. You have to find the balance with doing your part by salvaging and repurposing what can be useful, but you also have the responsibility to the larger building and project as a whole. Enter Jeff. He reached out as a trucker from an entirely different area of the country, and he was ready to help with bringing in his semi and transporting, lots of stuff to the landfill. Even parking a spare trailer so that we could hot swap them and keep things moving when he wasn't around. And trip after trip after trip to the landfill has really been a miracle for us. This whole YouTube thing has been a crazy journey. Miracles like this have happened over and over. And looking back, when I started, there was no guarantee that that kind of thing would materialize. If I told you on day one that YouTube and the kindness of strangers was my plan for succeeding, what would you think about me? I still can't believe it myself. Okay, next. Stop overthinking and just start doing. It doesn't have to be perfect to start. The building will teach you along the way. And it's okay to know your limits, but you have to be prepared to ignore those limits in a lot of ways. I didn't know this at first. I got paralyzed. At some point, I found myself in analysis paralysis. I realized I was spending more time thinking about what to do than actually doing it. I'd overplan, overanalyze, and constantly second-guess myself. But the thing is that the building didn't care. It just sat there slowly deteriorating. It was outpacing the progress that I was making. It was waiting for someone to actually make a move and make a difference, something that really mattered. And the hard truth, something that I've really learned through all of this, progress doesn't come from perfect plans or endless preparation. It comes from taking action. And even when you're unsure, even when it feels messy or slow and nothing's happening, in spite of the fact that you're working your butt off, it's important to remember that this can be doubly satisfying. There's something about losing yourself in the work, about getting busy, getting your hands dirty, letting your hands take over, because when you're immersed in action, there's no time to worry. And then that progress starts to stack. And somehow things start to move forward. The next thing is that the chaos is always going to find you. No matter how much you plan, focus, or think you've got things under control, the chaos of a project like this will always find you. It's not just about individual problems or a specific pile of stuff that needs to be cleaned. It's the feeling that at any moment something unexpected will appear. There's so much anxiety. The building is deteriorating at a certain pace. You have to stay ahead of it. And you have to adapt on the spot. You learn quickly that perfection is impossible, that things are always going to go sideways, and that the only way to make progress is just to keep moving. Keep your head down, keep moving, keep working. There's only one speed here, and it is relentless. Be relentless. And even though you're surrounded by it at all times, chaos isn't your enemy. It's just part of the process. And the trick is learning to keep going anyway. When you're in the moment, progress is invisible. You can't see it until you can. For a long time, it feels like nothing is happening. You sweep, move, fix, you clean. You take your steps back to be able to take your step forward, and the place still looks the same. One giant pile finally disappears, and the next time you walk by, there's a bigger one in its place. Days blur together, and it's easy to wonder if all the effort is for nothing. And then one day you step back and you realize something's changed. A wall is clear, a room is actually usable, a floor is shining in a way that it didn't before, and that progress was there all along, quietly happening beneath the surface, invisible until it wasn't. Of course, the funny thing is, a clean space rarely stays that way for long. And that's part of the frustration of it. It quickly becomes storage for another project that you're working on somewhere else, and the cycle begins again. Just trust the process, keep at it, and don't let the invisible progress discourage you. It adds up, even when you can't see it, and sometimes it gets recycled into something new. Expect the unexpected. One thing is for sure, the building has its own plans. Just when you think you've got a corner under control, the building reminds you that it has its own plans. I replaced one window, and suddenly I remember that there are 500 more. And then kids just threw more rocks than windows that I replaced. I mean, I wish that I had this huge bank account. I could get this probably done in a year or two, but I don't. So I've just got to keep going. Clear a room, and it becomes a staging ground for the next project. Sometimes it feels like you have to take 6 steps back just to take 1 step forward. And I've learned that the building doesn't follow my schedule. It follows its own rhythm. And trying to force it makes the work just multiply. You've got to adapt to what's actually happening, not what you think should happen or what you planned. And you've got to learn to just laugh when progress feels like it's very slow, very messy. You know, it's like a dance. And the best advice is just to enjoy the dance. I mean, really, how many people actually get the chance to do something like this? Enjoy it. Seize that opportunity to learn and stand in the face of the impossibility of it all, and take satisfaction in the fact that you are swinging for the fence, because that's what life's about. You've got to embrace the absurd. Let's be honest, the project itself is inherently absurd. One guy, no budget, and a building that seems determined to defy every effort. Some days it feels like the universe is playing a practical joke. You plan one thing and the building responds with 10 surprises, and yet somehow progress happens over time. You adapt, improvise, and learn to laugh at just how ridiculous it all is. I would love to be making this video and talking about all of the wonderful, high-profile projects that we've completed in the last 3 years, but the truth is that 3 years of clean out just goes to speak about how epic this project really is. It's so absurd. Now, one of the best lessons that have come my way is that care is contagious. For a long time, the building looked rough on the outside. Broken windows, boarded openings, gaping holes in the side. Plenty of reasons for people to assume that it was beyond saving. Breaking windows out of this building has been a town sport since I was a kid. And this didn't happen at first, but once I really started getting into the swing, and I started showing that I care, that somebody is here doing something in the building, not by making it beautiful, but by just showing steady, progressive work, something started to change. And YouTube made it visible. Messages came in, advice, tools, encouragement. People started to travel from distant areas of the country to lend their energy. And let me tell you, once that happens, it's like a switch is flipped. In a single day, months of work can be accomplished. And it feeds on itself. The more momentum that happens, the more people care. And in turn, that makes more progress, and people care more. Not because the building looks better, but because the effort was real. The care didn't spread through appearance, it spread through visibility. And once people saw that this place mattered to somebody, even somebody like me, it started to matter to them too. I mean, check this out. Look at what's happening here. And number 10, everybody needs a Bob. When something breaks, no matter how important, no matter how expensive, my first thought is usually, well, it's ruined. we're screwed. Might as well just throw it away. Where am I going to find the money for the next one? But Bob, he doesn't roll like that. He doesn't panic. He just fixes it. And he can fix anything. He credits it to growing up poor, which is something that's very Bob to say. But whatever it is, whatever Bob has, it has saved this project more times than I can count. One thing is for sure, if he hadn't come along, I would have failed. And maybe I'd still be doing this, and I just wouldn't have realized yet that I'd failed. Everybody needs a Bob. Find your Bob, treasure him, and don't even try to do something like this alone. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a castle so big, even giants would get lost inside. Towers of forgotten treasures stretched as high as the clouds, and rooms were filled with mysteries no one had dared to explore. Some said it was magical. Others said it was cursed. But one very brave and very confused commoner decided he would try to tame it. He had no magic tools, barely any experience, and an optimism stubborn enough to ignore every warning sign. And that, my little knight, is how our story begins. The first challenge? Mountains of furniture taller than dragons, piles of metal that could build their own castle, and every time our hero thought that he had conquered one room, surprise, the castle had another secret waiting. A hidden staircase here, a deep, dark shaft there. Sometimes it felt like the castle was playing tricks, laughing at the man's mistakes. And oh, did he make mistakes. Beams crumbled and collapsed, and he learned to live with constant self-doubt and endless reminders that deep down, he really didn't have what it took to slay this dragon. But don't despair, for he was not entirely alone. A wise, extremely old wizard appeared, known across the land as Bob. Bob had this magical ability to fix anything with a wave of his finger. From broken windows to doors that refused to open, he could see what the builder could not, set milestones, and even sneak in while the builder was away to build a cozy little office, a little oasis in the middle of the chaos. The castle may have been wild, but with Bob's guidance, the impossible started to feel possible. Every day, the builder learned something new, that the castle has its own rhythm, that progress is invisible until it isn't, and that sometimes the absurdity of the whole thing is exactly what makes it worth trying in the first place. Rooms cleared would quickly fill with new challenges, piles of junk seemed to multiply, and yet each tiny victory, a shining floor, a fixed window, a usable space, became a story of triumph. And so, the Castle of Chaos remains. The journey is far from over. There are still towers to climb, rooms to explore, and mysteries to uncover. But our hero, with his blind, unjustified, misguided optimism, a few trusty tools, and his wise, extremely old wizard, has learned to laugh, to adapt, and to embrace the absurdity of it all. And perhaps one day, the castle will be tamed, or maybe, just maybe, the chaos is the real treasure. So remember, little knight, sometimes the best adventures are the ones that seem impossible, and the ones that make you laugh along the way. Now, somewhere along the way, something changed. The chaos didn't stop, far from it. But suddenly, little victories started to stack up. Rooms that were once impossible became functional. Floors that groaned under decades of neglect started to shine again. The building, which once seemed like an endless monster, began to show glimpses of the future that it could hold. I started to see the possibilities that I dreamed about. A venue space that could welcome the community, sun-drenched studios for artists, photographers, tall windows framing their creations, a makerspace where ideas could grow into real projects, vocational training, prototyping, a place where people could come, learn, and create. And the crazy thing, it's not just a dream anymore. It's starting to feel achievable. It's really happening. And of course, there's still chaos. There always will be. Even when this place is totally done, there's a certain amount of chaos that will just be ongoing forever. New challenges pop up every day, but now instead of being paralyzed by the scale, I feel energized by it. Every pile cleared, every milestone reached is proof that progress is real, and that even the most absurd, impossible-sounding goals can be tackled step by step. And the best part? The next 60 days are going to be insane. Some huge announcements about the channel, about the building and the projects we're working on. All of that's right around the corner here after the new year. The kind of things that will make all of the hard spent hours, all of the absurd mistakes, and the mountains of junk feel actually worth it. I don't know exactly what will happen, but I do know this. The journey is just getting started, and for the first time, it feels like I can see the path forward. So here's the truth that I've learned from 3 years in a building that could have swallowed me whole. Progress is messy, chaos is inevitable, there are so many steps back to take a step forward, and optimism, blind, naive, ridiculous, misguided optimism might just be the most powerful tool of all. And so, my little knight, the castle still stands, big, messy, and full of surprises. But even in its chaos, we found tiny victories, little corners of calm, and the beginnings of something amazing. Just like in our story, the adventure isn't over. It's only getting started. Sleep well, because tomorrow there will be towers to climb, more puzzles to solve, and maybe, just maybe, another corner of the castle to tame. Good night. I love you, son.